You've probably noticed something weird about all of these return to office mandates. Leaders keep saying it's about culture and productivity, but the actual results higher turnover, angrier employees, and zero clear performance boost at all. Today, let's talk about receipts, baby. Why RTO has been such a mess for so many companies, and real examples of where it completely backfired altogether. First, let's start with the big picture. A 2024 analysis of major companies with RTO mandates found there were no meaningful improvements in firm performance after forcing people back into the office. What did change, however, was employee satisfaction. It dropped, especially on work-life balance and views of senior leadership. A 2024 ZipRecruiter employer survey went further. Companies that imposed strict RTO had about 13% higher annual turnover compared with companies that leaned into remote flexibility. They were also more than twice as likely to say their turnover was rising, which means RTO is acting like a disguised layoff tool, surprise, surprise, pushing people out instead of engaging them. When you look at worker behavior, it's clear they're not buying the RTO story. Surveys show nearly half of hybrid and remote workers say they would quit if forced back to the office full time. At the same time, remote or hybrid roles are still a minority of job postings, but they attract a big majority of applications. That's where talent wants to go. Global workplace research in 2024 and 2025 shows that most employees resist full RTO and that rigid 5-day office policies correlate with engagement dropping, not rising. So companies that double down on butts and seats are basically telling their best people will find a more flexible employer. One of the most telling patterns is how many big firms rolled out RTO after their stock price or financial performance dipped, as if dragging people back into cubicles would magically fix a bad strategy. A 2024 study of S&P 500 companies found that these mandates often created productivity theater, people focusing on looking busy in the office rather than doing meaningful work. So instead of solving structural problems, bad products, bloated process, weak leadership, companies tried to fix performance optics with office optics. The result? More resentment, no real improvement. Then there are the companies that tried to brute force RTO and got public blowback. In one widely discussed case, over 950 employees at a major firm signed a petition against a strict in-office mandate, calling out leadership for ignoring feedback and shutting down internal discussion channels when staff pushed back. Other organizations have seen RTO sparks trigger union complaints or labor relations actions when employees were disciplined or fired after criticizing new office rules. Instead of rebuilding culture, these mandates fueled distrust, damaged employer brands, and sent a clear message: we'll listen until you disagree with us. There are also quieter examples where RTO simply collapsed under reality. Some companies announced aggressive back 3 to 5 days a week. This sounds familiar. Policies, ran the town halls, did the big rollout, and then almost no one showed up consistently. After facing high turnover, complaints and engagement surveys, or even health-related disruptions, a few employers backed off to hybrid or largely remote setups again. In at least one case shared by employees, leadership tried an early RTO push, watched a wave of resignations and an in-office outbreak, and eventually reverted to fully remote, keeping only a few small offices and hot desks for people who wanted to come back in. That's the pattern. When RTO clashes hard with employee reality, reality always wins. Even when companies succeed in getting people back, there are hidden side effects. Research shows remote workers are promoted significantly less often than their in-office or hybrid peers, which exposes a strong proximity bias. That means RTO isn't just about where you sit. It can quietly reshape who gets access, visibility, and advancement. At the same time, job satisfaction scores fall after RTO announcements, especially around perceptions of senior management and fairness. When leaders promised flexibility during the pandemic and then walk it back without a compelling reason, employees treat it as a broken psychological contract. Once trust is gone, it's very hard and very expensive to get back. So if everyone back in their seats doesn't work, what does? The companies that are actually winning the talent war are doing 3 things differently. 1, they treat flexibility as a core benefit, not a temporary perk, and they tie office time to specific high-value activities like collaboration, onboarding, and deep problem solving, not just generic be seen days. 2nd, they invest in hybrid systems, clear communication norms, meeting design that works for remote participants, and outcome-based performance metrics instead of badge swipes. 3rd, they listen. Organizations that expand remote options were significantly more likely to expect growth and increased hiring than those tightening RTO, suggesting that flexibility is correlated with healthier and expanding businesses. So when you zoom out, RTO hasn't failed because offices are evil. It's failed because too many leaders used it as a shortcut, a way to dodge deeper questions about strategy, culture, and trust.